Good evening everyone, welcome to the live stream of the 3rd of December. I'm Mod Purky and I'm joined by Mod Rowley.
Hello, yes.
There you go, I had to practice a bit beforehand because it's not Mod Rowley but Rowley. So thank you for joining me. We'll dive a bit into why you're here in a second, but I'll rattle off a couple of things first. As we mentioned in the news post last Monday, or this Monday, we're going to sunset the Java client on the 18th of December. I thought it's worth replicating. So if you are on Java right now, start using NXT. It's much better in my opinion. But if you are having troubles, please read the article and go to the support pages for that. On top of that, we have the Smooth Movement coming out next week. So that is really cool and exciting to look forward to. That is one of the reasons why we're looking into sunsetting Java. And then if I move onwards, the stream rundown, which I forgot to mention last time. So we're going to talk a bit about archaeology.
A little bit, yeah.
And more specifically about the Stormguard Citadel.
Yep.
Then we're going to talk about a challenge rework with Mod Shogun. He'll be joining us in a minute. We'll talk a bit about the pet. What are you doing there in the behind the scenes, Mod Shogun? Anyways. We're also going to talk a bit about the pets competition. We're going to show some of the pet concept that we've received because I think it's very important to share those. And then further down the line, we'll start polling those in game. And last but not least, we've got quite a few questions from the month ahead and Q&A in general. So we will go over that. Did I miss anything? It's also worth knowing, that's the last thing I wrote down in the intro. On the 16th of December, that will be the last game update of the year. And then on the 23rd and 30th of December, there will be no game update. Just so you guys are aware. The 16th of December will have some Christmassy content, of course. All right, so let's dig into archaeology then.
Just the surface.
Just the surface, right?
Start off slowly.
I mean, we need to start uncovering everything slowly, right?
Yeah.
So last Thursday, we put out a blog.
We did.
About the Stormguard Citadel.
Yep.
And in there was a nice letter we had found, kind of, or a page.
Journal entry, maybe?
Journal entry.
I think
that's probably the best description for it. So I wanted to take you through that briefly and quickly. Would you be able to bring up the images and slides thingies we have, not John?
Of course.
There we go. There we go. So this is
it's lovely.
This is the lovely image we've revealed. If I look at it, I can see a lovely floating island with some kind of building on it.
Yes.
Tell us a bit more about this.
So, well, as you could probably guess, this is, or more accurately was, the Stormguard Citadel. This is kind of like our idealized version of what it would have looked like in its prime. It does not look like this now.
Since things have happened.
History has not been kind to it.
Okay.
Much as it hasn't been to the Avianci as a people. So don't go in expecting it to be all lovely and pristine. It's going to be quite well weathered when players get to explore it.
All right. And I imagine that as a result, this deck side is probably related to the Avianci, or is it another faction or god, or?
Yeah. So Armadil's chosen people, the Avianci. We know that clan citadels these days in the modern era are taken from Armadil's floating cities, and this is one of those that was not used for that purpose because it was lost in time. It's kind of hidden, in fact, because it's more of a secretive site than some of the other floating cities.
Okay.
But obviously, you don't want to go too far with this. Got a tease.
All right. Yeah, no, of course. Can you tell us something about the purpose of like the bigger building or the citadel we see on there?
Yeah. So, wow, how much can I say? Really, it's.
I'll keep pushing you.
So as I say, yeah, it's kind of like a secret base of sorts for the Avianci during a time of strife. We have revealed at RuneFest, of course, that there are ties to invention here. So I could probably say it's kind of like where lots of work was done in secret that was helpful to the war efforts of armadillo.
Okay.
So
I'm getting like an Area 51 vibe here. Can we find
some
aliens?
some people have suggested that. I lean more towards a different reference than that. I think
Okay.
our Area 51 is probably one of the other sites
Cool.
than this one.
All right. I want to take you to we have 2 more images which were shown in the blog post or in the journal article. Are you able to describe and elaborate a bit on what we see on those pictures? So one of them was related to something they first encountered, and then is actually the image on the right. And then later on they made a drawing of the picture on the left.
So first thing to note here is the style of these images is kind of a blueprint-esque art style, a Da Vinci-esque style, like these kind of scribblings you'd see in this notebook of these inventions.
Yeah.
The thing on the right, which probably I think said in that journal that this is maybe something related to the portal, the kind of technology that you use to even get to Stormguard, because the site itself is based at the Temple of Ikov.
Yeah.
So grounded to start with.
Okay.
The thing on the left, we just named this afternoon. Mod Ryan's been working on stuff here like just today, and it is shaping up. It's looking really cool. How much do I say about that? I think so. I will go with the secretive nature. That is Project Thunderbird.
You're going to get a second one.
Oh. Okay.
Double mics.
Yep. So that is Project Thunderbird, and wow.
I like that as a code name.
We'll see what that is when you actually get to visit.
All right. Cool. I know you're very secretive, but is there a glimpse or something you can tell about what we might be uncovering on this dig site?
Beyond invention-based content, probably not.
All right. Okay, we'll stick with that.
Other than to say it's up in the sky. It's not in a pristine state, so how you actually traverse this space is going to be quite interesting. We've got the Temple of Ikov connection. I'd maybe say words like boots of lightness, something like that.
Okay.
So maybe there's some idea there of how you might get about these different islands.
Okay. Cool. Thank you very much. One question which was more of a question that was asked in the month ahead. The Stormguard of Citadel is of course related to the Aviancy. Are there plans to do more with the Aviancy in the future?
Always plans.
Okay.
Plans within plans. For me, Stormguard Citadel was kind of... so there's a well-known project that a lot of people know and are spamming in chat probably as we go.
We'll start talking about this.
They will do, which we wanted to do for a very, very long time, but haven't been able to. My hope was that with Stormguard Citadel, we could kind of take some steps towards that.
Okay.
Some of the roadblocks could perhaps be removed by this.
All
but
right.
we'll see. I mean, it's only ever plans.
Yeah.
Nothing on the schedule, as
Cool.
it were.
Sounds very good.
But hey, some more Aviancy content should be good.
Always good. Thank you very much. I don't have any more questions about this for you.
I'm sure plenty more questions out there, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We've got another blog in relation to the second Archaeology dig site coming out in December.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. I hope we'll have equally nice drawings and lore behind it. So definitely stay tuned for that. And
Crossed,
thank you for joining me on the couch.
Yeah, and good to be starting to talk about archaeology in more detail.
I think it's going to be great.
Plenty more
I'm
time.
very excited for it.
Cool.
So
Right, well,
take both your
fun
mics
with
off,
the rest. I think I'm trapped
and then
now.
I'll invite Mod Shogun onto the couch, who's eagerly waiting to get on. He's running with excitement towards us. He's nodding his head.
To escape is what it is.
Yeah, no, definitely. Come on. There you go. Nice quick switch. Someone asked if you wanted to wave at them, but
No.
I think you're too late for that.
Sorry.
All right. Challenges rework, Mod Shogun.
Yes.
This is something that we did not mention in the month ahead.
No one knew about it until you said it in the intro. So yes, here we go.
Exactly. So
Rework and daily challenges.
yes. What can you give us a brief overview of what we're going to do first of all before we kind of dig a bit more into this?
So, with daily challenges, some of them are quite tedious. Like bake 300 summer pies, for example. No one likes doing them. There's a few that's really popular, namely dungeoneering, since it gives so much experience each day. So we try to more generalize each daily challenge. There will be, instead of saying you have to do this specific thing 300 times, it'll be cook whatever you want 25 times. And I will complete that cooking daily challenge for you.
Is that a bit more in line, like, for example, the challenge we've seen on Yak Track?
It's more in line with how mining and smithing currently works.
Okay.
But made generic as well. So you can basically do whatever you want within that skill to a certain degree. There will be some exceptions, of course. And then you get rewarded for it. One massive change though is that you don't have to hand in whatever you make. So if you have to make 10 potions, you make 10 overloads, you don't have to hand in these 10 overloads.
So you can keep them?
Yes.
Good.
So there won't be any more conversation bags. They're gone now. So you can't turn in your potions to get some random item from it. There will be if you bring up the interface, please.
Is that?
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
This is what it will look like. As you can see, this is a daily agility challenge. Just do whatever lap you want 5 times, and you're done. There's a claim rewards button at top left, as you can see. You don't have to go back to Berthorpe or Prifddinas anymore. You just click the button and you get the XP wherever you are.
That's pretty good. Can you also, for example, use this? I know you will talk about engineering as a whole in general, but I've just got. Could you, for example, press that button in engineering itself?
Yes.
Okay, so you can claim rewards.
It just gives you flat out XP.
Oh, okay.
So the only one that gives a lamp is combat. So, but whatever gives you flat out XP.
Okay. Cool.
So, yeah.
All right. So I wrote a couple of questions about this, or points that I definitely wanted to hit. You've already addressed the point about can you claim it everywhere, which is quite nice. I really like that. XP wise,
so
is it going to be the same you're going to get for each challenge?
With how the challenges have changed, XP will be changed as well. So there's like prey and farming. They give you, if you go like in Nembe Forest to explore the fauna, and you get like 12k XP for it, it doesn't really feel that nice. So all challenges will now give the equivalent of a huge XP lamp.
Okay.
When you complete them. That includes both farming, herb lore, and dungeoneering as well. So that's what we're doing with XP.
So just to make it a bit more concrete.
Yeah. Basically, all but 4 challenges will rise massively in XP.
And some others will get a small.
3 of them will get a small reduction.
And 1 will get a big one. Can you name that skill by any chance?
I think chat all knows which one it is.
I already know.
But yes, DG will get a small reduction.
Cool. I just want to get that out there so it's just loud and clear.
And there will be, of course, you get your daily trash and key as well from it, so don't worry about that.
I think we've hit the key points. Is there anything I'm missing, or should I go on to my last questions about this?
I don't know, really.
Like we've started like what the challenge will be. We've talked about the XP around it, the rewards from it. Do you still have the same way of handing them in? We've approached that.
Well, you can claim for you can still go back to Berthorpe if you want.
You can talk.
She will be there to toggle what challenges you want, so you can still remove challenge you don't want to do if you're 99 in them, or 120 in some cases. So you can still like, I only want to do crafting daily challenges, you can still do that.
Cool.
So.
All right. Do we already have a release date for this?
Yes, we do. It's coming this month, actually.
Okay.
To my knowledge, it will be the 16th of December.
I mean, I imagine so, because next week, Smooth Movement.
Yes. So,
and we've only got 1 more update that month.
Yes.
After that, so 16th of December.
Yep. To my knowledge, at least. So you have 2 weeks to do daily dungeoneering challenges.
We'll go for it, I would say. Cool. Thank you very much. To give a quick update on this, we'll also see a blog about this later, I believe.
I'm trying to write one, but
you're trying to write
might not. Different time frames with the holidays, December. it might not happen, and how busy people are as well. So.
All right. We'll try and see if we can get a blog out for this. But if not, our apologies. Thank you very much. I'll also ask Mod JD to join the couch now. There you go. He's running on. He's got a nice booklet with him as well. He's very prepared.
My JD pads.
Shall I move a bit?
Let me just grab this one.
Yeah, I'll move a bit more towards the centre.
Yeah.
Making Mod John having to readjust the camera now. I think he had to do it anyways.
There we go. Hopefully
Cool.
that around.
All right. We'll move on to the pets competition. Where do I have it? There you go. So we started the competition on the 18th of November. We had 4 categories where we wanted your IDs for pets: for a mono-making pet, a area pet, a clue scroll pet, and a RuneScape pet.
Well remembered.
Yeah, definitely. I
Definitely not on the script.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so nervous. You start forgetting things, of course. And we've got quite a few. Entries?
I mean, I took a look through some of the entry, or in fact all of the entries earlier. Took me quite a while, but no, there's some really good ones in there. And I know we mentioned quite a lot around. It's not necessarily about artistic talent for some of these. It's about actually the general concept behind the idea and how we feel like it could fit into the game and fit into the different areas in which they're kind of residing within. So we think we've got some really interesting suggestions. Now, just to caveat this isn't these aren't the people necessarily the ones that are going to be in the shortlist. These are just ones that we've come across and we thought would be interesting to show you guys.
I think we had all of them in a PowerPoint and we were like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So we've just randomly removed a bunch.
Yeah.
So if you're shown, doesn't mean like you're in the pre-selection or anything.
No.
We're going to have nice internal voting to select the top 5.
Yeah.
We'll put those in 2 groups, or we'll pull 2 pets at the same time. One on the 16th of December and one on the 23rd of December.
Yep. That's the aim. We need to speak to Modesty about the polling
crossed.
system because obviously without there perhaps being a game update on the 23rd, not quite sure how that works. So aim is 16th and 23rd, but if there are changes, that will let you know.
Yes. And then we will ask you all to vote on your favourites, and then we'll get to work with them. Yep. With further ado, we'll get in some. There you go. These are all. These are all for the area pets. Yep. I love how you could put it in the bottom right, which kind of pet it would be, but then it's overlapped by us, so I can just see an A, and I made the connection. I know, right? Oh, there we go. Now we can just talk and do very weird faces, and they won't notice. Yeah. So on the left, I think it's more of an animal type for each region area. Yep. And on the right, we've got the same version of them. I think these both are by the same person.
Yeah, I love Rework. I think is the RSN. I love the KGP one.
Oh,
I think that's great.
Reminds me of the one walking on in Lumbridge, isn't it? When you try to shear sheep, so you click the wrong one.
I think that's the inspiration for this, and I think they've tried to take that kind of onto the next level. So well done, that person.
Cool.
I'm a big fan of the Fremnik llama, though. It looks amazing.
I really like it.
The Fremnik llama. Yeah, it does look good. The Fremnik llama.
All right. I'll keep the pace up a bit because otherwise.
Were they llamas or were they alpacas?
I think they're definitely alpacas.
Probably alpacas.
I think they're alpacas.
Maybe.
Yeah, they're alpacas, aren't they?
They do look more like an alpaca than a llama to me. But all right, there you go. This one's from Merged. Water chameleons.
Yep.
With their things, I really like the wilderness one. I really like the orange black combination, the lava coming out of the back.
I quite like the one with the shark's fin. Catherine be one.
Yeah. You have a favourite?
I think I'll go with the wilderness as well.
Okay.
I'll be in the minority then.
Yeah,
it's fine.
That's all right.
Don't care.
Also, for the record, JD has seen them. I've seen a couple. Shogun hasn't seen any. So we will give him a bit of time to come up with his opinion.
I thought this one was really interesting. We hadn't seen too many. Where actually the change is as noticeable as this, and there was quite as much variety with the changes. So in my channel, this really we liked Norman, and we especially liked the silent G at the start of Norman as well.
I really like the idea of like having like this very big beard with all kinds of like typically area related bits and bops in the beard. That's what really made me like this idea personally. Yeah.
Well, I think which one would the default be though?
Well, the default is just flowers, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, but I thought that every hand an area, so it's
Well,
with
default, we can just
area
take
will be-
everything out. Maybe we'll not have a beard at all. I don't know.
This is from
Glycite.
Glassite, yeah. This is George I think it's a frog. I think rather than a toad, I think it's a frog. And so I think the changes in colour, I think, was the thing that we were really interested in this one. This one was the colour work. I thought was really good.
I like that he carries a banner of each area he's been in there. That's quite nice.
I think it's really nice and it helps you understand from what area they are. Like, if you're a newer player, right, then the flags will probably help more so than having those very specific items from each region.
Lots of Pepe's in the chat as well.
Of course.
And this one, I think,
Willow.
is Willow.
Willoway.
Willoway, yeah. Just looks amazing. Pangolins are such an underrated
It's an
animal.
armadillo, isn't it?
It's pangolin.
Oh, pangolin-like, yeah. What's the difference between a pangolin and an armadillo then? I'm asking the real questions.
Pangolin has a longer tail.
Okay.
I'm going to say that. I mean, with no conviction at all.
I'll be honest. I've never heard of a pangolin before, so maybe I'll need to look up my.
Maybe the chat know the difference and they can tell us. But
I think some people were already saying that you were right, so that sounds pretty good.
Just call me David Attenborough.
There we go. We'll move on to and there's still the area pets as well.
Yep.
My fault.
Yeah.
I really just on the side. I really like the art style of this. I think this person gave two concepts. One of the cat with like more so, I think more with the necklaces, and the other done with 6 different types of. I think it's like a combination of a dragon and a dog almost. I'd say.
Yeah, I don't think they've actually said what kind of animal it's inspired by, but yeah. It looks quite interesting.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm always biased by cats,
yeah,
so this is getting my vote. The one.
Shout out to Swizzy because they submitted quite a few different ideas as well. It's
the granny like, I think, a bit.
Cave goblin.
It gives me like if you go like on a tour with your grandma. She's like the camera with her. She takes pictures of everything, and you're like the kid next to her, like very excited.
I think the idea that they've taken with this is the fact that it's because they visit all of the different areas. They're kind of a tourist in those areas, and I think they've taken on quite a lot of stereotypically touristy traits like the sun hat,
absolutely,
and
all binoculars everywhere,
selfies, that kind of thing. I quite like this one. I thought this one was quite interesting.
I really like the message in the top right about like she's always in awe, which is quite nice. It's like good detail there. All right, so we're going to move on to the clue scroll pets.
Yeah, 2 of my favourites here actually. So this is Mage Nixie on the right, and another Swizzy one on the left.
Yes.
And you've got sort of the trench coat, which I thought was a fantastic take on the brief for a clue scroll pet. And the fox has I don't know if you can read it on the screen, but he's got quite an interesting backstory. So Basil. And I assume that's based on Basil Brush.
What, John? Oh, there we go.
Isn't there a Basil Mouse? There was like a
Basil the Mouse Detective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basil Brush is a British children's institution. Let's put it like that.
Right.
There you go.
I don't know of Basil Mouse, sadly.
And these are both from Bunny Riven, I believe.
I really like the approach. Bunny, what was it? It's not there. You did a good job remembering all the names.
I mean, I can actually read it, so.
I need a second pair of glasses. Wait, there, a bit of Buddy Riven.
Yeah.
Buddy Riven.
But obviously, meerkats always get on the good side of me with some meerkats.
Yeah.
But
well, what I really liked about both these ideas is it's more centered around the dice you get from your clue scrolls, which I really liked.
Yeah.
And then I would never say no against a cute cat on a die bottle, which is like constantly emptying.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
I think particularly with the meerkat one, it's the actual how they've thought about how it would move as well.
The dice behind
the die would come underneath. That was a really interesting dynamic that I think we hadn't necessarily considered when we put the competition out. So yeah, that was a really interesting one.
You go.
So we've got another art from I Love Verak and one by Obergosu. The Puzzlot was an interesting one because I think it was one of the few ones that we got that wasn't sort of a real life like a humanoid or an animalistic
Yep.
character.
Yeah.
So interesting in terms of a puzzle piece, what we could do with that. And the octopus in the chest, I really liked the idea. I thought it would be, again, the kind of animations that you could do with that would be really interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
The reverse mimic. It's an octopus instead.
Oh, I did not even. I've seen a couple, but I really like the one on the left here. The
That's
art style's really
Artemis,
cool.
I believe. And that doesn't have the name on it, so I've remembered that one, I think. So I think that's Artemis. And I unfortunately don't know the one on the right. They've not got to put their name on it, I don't believe.
What I really like about the one with the right is like it kind of follows the die concept, but they've also taken the Orlando Smith hat and kind of small bits of accessory or changes to the rabbit that will happen, which is something I quite like.
Yeah, I love the with the one on the left. I think the directional side of things I think was a really interesting, again, dynamic that we hadn't quite thought about as well. So that's an interesting one.
Yes. So I think this is two different things for me. I think it shows that you can create your suggestion idea in any way you want, even if you have a nice idea and you write it down on the post-it. I think it's really cool. The one on the left is definitely one of my favourite. I really like it almost gives me a bit of like Sherlock Holmes vibes.
The only thing I'd say about the raccoon is that we have a raccoon already.
Who's a thief.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now you have a detective raccoon and a thief raccoon. So
I mean,
So they could chase each other.
precisely.
this
Yeah.
has become
It's a nice
theme.
interaction between them,
Yeah.
I mean,
like we have with the Barras brothers. Who knows?
everyone likes raccoons.
Maybe you could spawn an entire subset of pets involving raccoons with a different storyline and a narrative. But no, the one on the right again, taking that kind of chest idea, I think is an interesting thing, and how we could ornamentalize that chest and how it looks.
Yeah, what I find quite interesting about this one is that the person specifically would want it to be transparent, which I think is interesting. I quite like the thing of having something in that chest, like your casket you open. So it's really cool.
That's from Milk, and I don't know the one on the left, unfortunately.
Money making hats.
Yep. This is another from Bunny Riven, who again, shout out to you. I think they submitted about 5 or 6 different entries for different.
I could read it this time actually.
Yes. So there's the loot bean. Again, a nice little narrative for this one. And as I say, it's you count your beans if you've got some money. So again, that's quite a nice little take on it.
And it's a pun at the same time.
That's what I was getting at.
It's the fact was he wants to troll people, so
Yeah.
that's the point of it apparently.
I mean, if you get a pun into anything, well, JD will instantly love it. So
You're catering to my whim.
absolutely.
Another pun.
I love the one on the right. I think both of them are really, really good for the idea, but I think the one on the right, the Frog of Fortune, again, seeing how it would progress, I think is a really interesting,
really cool.
A really interesting approach here. The loan shark, I think just for the tash, the evil
the
twirly moustache.
Cool.
And we got a few suggestions of imps or goblins for the money-making pet. Obviously, they're quite intrinsically linked together.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is one of the ones that we liked the most. And again, thinking about the animation as well, leaving a GP trail behind it, again, is quite an interesting thing that we could do some stuff with. And I think the one on the right is just I really love the art style with this. I think it was really well done, and in terms of the actual approach with the fox as well, foxes are quite wily and canny. It could fit quite nicely with this kind of a pet.
Mm-hmm.
I love a magpie.
Really?
Yeah, I love a magpie. I'm not a Newcastle United fan or an Exeter fan.
No.
But I love a magpie. And again, the fact that they are very much focused on money making, stealing shiny things.
That's the thing that I really like about this one.
Yeah. And I think, as I say, you could do some really interesting stuff with the magpie as well. The one on the right, I'm just trying to read it, sorry. This is one that I don't remember seeing.
A lot of text.
Again, I think this is one of those ones that we were really interested to see how much detail had been put into the idea. So I think we could probably work with, I think it's Holla, I think it's the RSN that's in the top right corner.
Mm-hmm.
We could work with them to try to bring that to reality, because they've obviously got a lot of ideas for how this would work in practice.
Bam.
And as I say, we've got a few suggestions for goblin-based pets as well.
Is that another version of Yelps?
There is something about Yelps, I believe. Yeah, after
That
the
looks a
downfall
lot
of
like-
Dimwit, Yelps senior, Glint picked up his father's line of work, so it is essentially Yelps' son.
Right, that makes sense then, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you again, Swizzy, and I can't remember the one on the right, but I know that was one of the ones that we were looking at as well. And again, thinking about the progression of how that would work.
I think that is really cool with the gold bag, and particularly near the last one where it's just
Tom
more
Merton
gold
art.
bag.
Tom Merton art is the one on the right. Thanks, Modniku in the chat.
Yeah, cool. Oh, there you go. This is one concept as well. I just like elephants in general. That's I'll start with that. It might be
I
irrelevant.
like the one with the party hat. I think the party hat one, the evolution is quite cool with that one.
Oh, so you actually have to give him items to transform him?
No. I think this is more like the more gold you accumulate, the richer the elephant will look.
Right.
So just like the money bag we had in this one, that gets bigger. I imagine the materials change. I believe that's what the concept is referring to.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice. I like the even giving us a colour scheme and everything. It's pretty cool.
Yep. These are the RuneScape ones, I believe.
Yes. Good catch.
Good catch, yes. So this is Chivo. And again, I can't remember who the RSN was for this one. But again, thinking about how the progression of RuneScape, what it would look like, how... I think as well as say, this is a prime example of an idea perhaps superseding the creative execution on it. We could do a lot with this.
Yeah. I really like one of the notes which says cute AF, which is just great. That's that's what you need.
I really like both of these.
Yes.
I love the art style on both of them. But again, it kind of shows that progression. I really love how the one on the left, Runcore, has the tail on the most evolved version of it, which looks like the RuneScape logo, which I think is great. And then the one on the right from I Love Eric, again, who submitted quite a few ideas, so well done them. There's a lot of the plumage on the peacock is how much RuneScape you have.
Use the second stage of Runcore is a bouncing dinosaur. Just as he walks, that's just amazing.
Let that sink in for a second.
Can I just have that as like always, and I'll be happy?
The belly of it is bigger than its legs at that time. I think that's just great.
He just bounces around. This is amazing.
Important to note as well with the peacock. Obviously, peacocks are known for showcasing their how beautiful they are. So it's kind of showcasing how awesome you are at accumulating RuneScape.
I have not thought of that yet, but I really like that thought behind it as well. It's really good. This was one of your favourites, I believe. You quite liked this one, wasn't it?
I'm not sure that I put this because I had my
I'm pretty
JD.
sure it was in your
sorry.
favourite list.
If it was, then great, Milk. I love it. Fantastic. Thank you. But no, this was focused in on I suppose the sense that you get a new high score, and it's almost like an arcade game, which I think was quite an interesting idea.
I think this is the only more so object kind of thing. In the ideas for RuneScape pets, all of them are more like animals or humanoids kind of things again. But it's quite interesting to look at ideas like these as well, I think.
MS Paint on the left, which is again we had a few suggestions for Max style pets, which again we can perhaps mould into an idea. And then the one on the right, the trim on the armour, I really like.
I think it's a nice combination of two things there because it shows very clearly what you've achieved.
Yes.
Because it's some pets like there are pets around, and if I look at them, I'm like I need to examine them and look them up on the wiki to see what they've achieved. With this one, I know quite clearly what the person would have achieved.
I think the Guffy's armor is in the wrong spot there. She'd clearly be in the last spot. It's one of Guffy's.
All right, we'll move on. We're not going to have this
There is a suggestion in the chat as well.
See?
This is quite a similar idea, I think, to the elephants.
Yes.
In that you accumulate items as you go through the rune, you increase your rune score. So that's quite an interesting one. And I love the little thing in the bottom left-hand corner which says, "Forgive me, I can't draw." You're a lot better than me, mate. So well done.
I can do stickman. That's about it.
Yes. Thanks, 5X.
And that's the end of our presentation.
Mod John, can we go? There we go. Black screen.
I did
and
not know when we
just
finished
to
it.
highlight, that's just a selection of the ones
Yes.
that we
Yes.
looked through. There are a lot more in there, and what we'll aim to be doing is selecting a short list of however many we feel like should be kind of put forward to the community. So there's some fantastic ideas in there. Thank you everybody who submitted your ideas, took the time to create them and submit them to us. We've really enjoyed looking through all of them, and you should see them in the next few weeks.
Absolutely.
Sorry, you should see them coming into the
In the
polls
polls
in
the next few weeks. I'll ask Mort Raven to join us on the couch as well, if he wants to. He's looking a bit hesitant, but he's deciding to come on.
Slinking on.
Shall I move a bit to the left again? There you go.
I think I got your phone.
Oh,
There we go.
we'll switch around. We'll make it work.
Let's get
Whoop.
cozy.
There you go. We'll let Mod John figure out which microphones we are using. It's always a nice puzzle. All right.
No, that fell off.
I got quite a few questions from the Reddit, Twitter, all those kinds of things.
The Reddit, the Twitter.
The Reddit, the Twitter,
We'll try and grab
everything.
some from the chat as well, if there are any
We'll
that
try.
crop up as well. So, Mod Nico, if you could grab some from the chat.
Yeah, if you can put them at the
Put them
bottom,
in the bottom, that'd be great.
we'll try and answer them. They
I have my
are.
pad as well, so we can take down some ideas if we need to.
Who used to always
Mod
bring
Pi
down?
is the Pi pad back in
There you
business.
go. Yeah, I remember someone always would bring down a notepad to write down suggestions, things, and everything else. They are in no particular order, so we'll be jumping forwards and backwards between topics and such. And the first questions I wrote down is: are there plans to make changes to power bursts? For example, the power burst of feats.
I'm not going to give specifics, which I
Yeah.
know will annoy some people, but I don't really mind.
We know it doesn't, Raven.
What we're doing, so we're doing a period of what we call post-release fixes. So rather than what normally happens in the project is we finish the project and we move straight on to another project. But what we're doing with this one is we've gone, because it's such a big project, that we're going to stop, smell the roses and sort of keep an eye on things. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're gathering feedback and we're looking at everything that's happened, looking at how things are being used, what's happening, and we're sort of putting little tweaks and changes here and there. Like we released a hotfix just earlier on regarding bean changes, the dinosaurs, because we'd lowballed it quite heavily originally. You sold them for very little because they sat alongside the other ones.
Yeah.
And we've decided that looking by the player feedback, looking at player interactions, they're not playing it quite like that. So we've upped them quite dramatically. So they now should definitely feel value for food. I was going to say money, but that's not entirely right.
Yeah.
And we're looking at changes along those lines. So certainly things with power bursts we are looking at. I'm not going to give examples of specifics, but
Yeah.
there's definitely things that we are doing and things that we're looking to improve and tweak and change as we go along. So any ideas, you can send them to us. But
Yeah, and when we talk about doing those kind of post-release updates, that's the kind of thing we're looking to do for Archaeology as well.
Yeah.
So when that launches, we'll have a period of time in which we're looking to focus in around making sure that content is absolutely on point before we move on to something else.
Cool. I'll aim this one more in your direction, JD.
Oh, good.
Are you ready for
I'm
this
ready,
one?
I'm ready.
Cool.
Hit me.
There are quite a few questions about this, so I've just summed it on very shortly. Can we get some data on how Double XP Extended worked and went and everything else?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one because obviously we've changed, or for this particular version of Double XP Weekend, we've kind of changed things around. I know there's a lot of interest from players about did people use up all of their XP? How many people, sort of as a proportion of the player base, used up all of that time? What was the average time that people had left? Did we see more XP going into game than on a traditional Double XP weekend? And a few other questions like that. And we are obviously only finished yesterday, so we are working with our data analytics team to hopefully get you some interesting stats for the coming live streams.
Well, yeah, we're waiting for a lot of data to come in, right?
Yes. So yeah, that's something we'd like to do, and we'll be assessing it all internally as well, so that we can perhaps make the best decisions for when we do future Double XP weekends as well.
All right. I did do a quick look into some bits and bobs that I was already able to see. Is apparently 31,800 accounts received or achieved a 99 or a 120 during Double XP Extended.
Well done, you.
1,300 of those were 120 Herblore.
I'm one of them.
And
Well done, Shogun.
well done.
Round of applause.
And 460 accounts achieved 120 farming. So if you're one of those, congratulations. I'm not that far yet. I'm getting closer every day.
I've seen a lot of positive feedback for this particular double XP weekend. I know that, or double XP weekend colon extended, but I think it's part of a wider approach that we want to try and take to encouraging kind of more healthy gaming habits moving forward as well. So there's going to be actually more information on that hopefully next week. We're going to get Mod Warden and Mod Kelvin onto the live stream to talk about duty of care within our role as a duty of care for RuneScape players.
I just got a question hot in from the chat by Motniku. Will we send out a survey to our players about how double XP went?
Probably not specifically for double XP weekend. There might be kind of a more wider, I suppose, survey that we would do for general purposes. I don't believe we have plans at the moment to launch another one in the near future, another survey in the near future. But as far as 2020 goes, we'd love to be able to kind of have more of a regular engagement with players on that sort of thing. So yeah, watch this space.
Cool. We'll keep going. This is not double XP weekend related.
Okay.
But there were quite a few people wondering if we will have winter weekends this year.
Yeah, I don't believe there are plans this year.
There are none.
No. So I looked into so in terms of the winter weekends, there's no specific focus for those particular weekends, but there is the event that comes in on the 2nd of January, which is the bonfire event. So that's 25% XP burning logs and bones. That's lots of different activities like poi dancing, lantern making, spirit summoning, and there's sort of a 10% buff in the area and some extra bank chests as well. So that's kind of for bank-based skilling. And also, if you are a big fan of the consumables, you can get some really kind of community skilling going on in that area. So whilst we don't have the winter weekends, we do have something going on that hopefully will allow you to take a little bit of a kind of a more laid-back approach to perhaps skilling in the holiday period.
Cool. Thank you very much. I think that clears up for quite a few people who were wondering about it.
Sorry, I did have to make notes on that just so I didn't say anything wrongly, so I apologise, I was reading. But
all right, we'll ask you another question where you can
good.
close your book club down. I sorted all of them for you in a row, I imagine. There have been quite a few comments about us running promos at the same time as Jack Trek. Initially, we had the glass case experiment as well. Can you clarify a bit about the approach we're taking here?
Yeah, so I think we touched on this when we were talking about Yak Track as a whole. I think when we said we were launching Yak Track, we would have about 5 or 6 days of the glass case event, and then we would go into the advent calendar as it has been for the last sort of 2 or 3 years. So that's kind of the approach that we're taking. Obviously, we're monitoring how the Yak Track event is going and how we're looking to perhaps, let's say, use that data to better inform if we were to perhaps do it again. But as I say, we're also looking at, say, like the glass case event as well. And actually, is that something that we could do more often as well?
Yep.
And I think that, again, next week, Mod Warden and Mod Kelvin might be able to give a little bit more clarity on the approach that we might be taking with those kinds of things in future.
Cool. All right. I see quite a few people giving their opinion on Yak Track as well. If you haven't, please put it down in one of our places where we collect your feedback. I believe we've still got the mega thread stickied on Reddit as well, for example. If you haven't put it down, please put it down there.
Genuinely interested to hear what people think about it, because it's something that obviously we did Rune Pass beforehand. We think that this is a much better way of doing this kind of thing, and hopefully, as I say, with people having Premier Club membership, they've been able to access a lot of the Premier track for free, and we're just interested to find out what you thought, really.
Cool. This is a slightly broader question. I think maybe you both will be able to chip in a bit on this as well. We've spoken about the PVM hub in the past, Stone Spirits, the tier 92 armor from Mod Orion, skill pad XP broadcasts. Do we already have an ETA on any of those, or are we staying quiet a bit more for a specific reason?
I don't think we have specific EDAs on them,
No.
to my knowledge. They fall into the category, a lot of them, from the category of when we can, or to put it kind of bluntly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot. I've explained this many times before, but there's a lot of decision making that goes on with when you make updates and make things. And those decision updates, we use the term expensive, but expensive isn't in terms of how much money goes in, which I realise is what people expect. It's literally a choice of what content do we have to choose to allow this thing to happen. So when we put an update in, it's expensive because that means we've had to not use great certain other pieces of content. So things like these are when there's the right time for us to put them in, when we've got the availability, I suppose, to do it.
Yeah.
That's when we're likely to do them, and when we've checked and balanced, etc. But at the moment, because we've got, we've just had farming and Herbler 120. We've had, which has the post release and and we've got, a brand new skill coming out. People are unsurprisingly slightly, busy.
I do know that Mod Orion recently provided an update via Twitter on the Tier 92 armor. I don't know the exact details.
I don't know if
you can read that, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know if Modern Eco is able to just chuck the tweet if he's able to find it in the chat, because that's probably a better way of you guys getting the information. But yeah, as far as we're aware, all roads at the moment lead to kind of the post releases and archaeology, and then I think what we're going to be looking to focus on that kind of content, particularly the PVM hub after that period.
Cool.
And Stone Spirits is missing a few numbers and it should be ready. And the QA has to check over every single smithable item in the game again, so that might take some time.
So we are also still working on the beta, right? It's not like it is ticking along, and we're getting there.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think all of these things are something that people are looking at or looking into. So.
Chipping away at, I think is the right term.
What did I say then?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
I thought I said something like that. All right, this is a bit more in the direction of the farming, and you already elaborated a bit on like not being able to go very specific. But here's a comment about the nightshades, about crushing them into extracts, and those kinds of things.
So I remember that question because the question is about crushing them into sort of more amounts, yada yada yada. Nightshade is one of the things we're specifically looking at.
Okay.
I think we can do something a bit more generally useful, generally interesting, quality of life kind of approach. That we're looking at something along those lines. So it's definitely something that we're looking at and trying to find a neat solution for. But we're not necessarily looking at just making it do bigger numbers. We think there's probably a bit more we can do that.
It's just maybe a more elegant solution.
Yeah, we're playing around with things. We're coming up with ideas at the moment, but it's definitely one of the things that's on our list to look at.
Cool. All right. This is one more so for you, I think, Motshogun.
Okay.
Are there any plans to introduce boss timers for Corporal Beast and Calfight Queen?
Well, I don't know plans per se. It's something that can be done though. So I think they used a new instancing system, so it should be possible to do.
Okay. Cool.
So.
And I'll add it to one of our backlogs.
Backlog, basically,
somewhere.
Is it worth going through the backlog process? I'm not sure how much. I mean, I personally don't really know, but I'm interested to know what kind of the backlog process is at Jagex. I suppose Raven, Shogun, you might have a little bit more insight.
I mean, it depends a bit on the team.
Okay.
Generally, what happens is when we get good ideas, good concepts, we store them. Store is the wrong word, but we put them somewhere that we can find them and look at them and come back to them, and we keep them in mind. And then when we're looking at what we can do with the project, we often look at, can we take any of these things in? Sometimes we have like ninja approaches who will specifically look at the sort of smaller updates and doing them. Otherwise, we'll try and slide them into bigger projects that we're doing. But basically, yeah, everything gets looked at and considered, and appropriately, costed, for lack of a better way of term. Like not in terms of money, in terms of time and how much content it would take to make it. And then prioritise accordingly. Because there are some things that have been on this list for a good long while, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're better content to put in than other things they are. It's just that they've just been in the zeitgeist for a while, which is why they're at sort of the front of people's mind.
Cool. Can we get a status update on the dead click situations most visible with Freya?
On the dead
clicks.
It's being looked at. That's all I can really say. Like it's not a. Magic wand way fix. I know there are, top mines on it, so it's something that's being looked at.
The death clicks are like, even looking back at history, right? It's been quite a difficult problem always to narrow down and find the cause of it, or whatever happens. There's definitely people who are on it who know more about the situation than I do. It's not really my focus.
Cool. My understanding is a bit like whack-a-mole.
You hit one, two more appear somewhere else.
One thing that I did know or hear is that the tech team is also getting involved in it, and they're working closely together. So there's definitely a focus on it. And once we know more about it, then
absolutely,
we'll share it with you guys.
Yeah.
Where were we? There you go. Any possibilities of making non-overkill power bursts not share cooldown with adrenaline flasks?
Any possibilities? Yes, is what I'll say there. Like, I'm not going to give any, again, this kind of specifics. What I can say is this piece of feedback is definitely something we have taken on board. We've discussed as a team, and we're looking at what we can do. Cool. It's not a guarantee that any changes will happen, but it's something that is very much on our forefront that we're talking about.
Cool. And then instead of like at the existing content we've got in farming and herb lore, are there, for example, plans to add more achievements for farming and herb lore?
Yes, I believe. They're not our biggest priority. We've got other things that are, we think, more important. But achievements is something that's always stuff that we keep in mind. I think there are a couple plans. I don't remember them off the top of my head.
Cool.
But yeah, it's something that we're, again, looking at, something that we're working around, but we're also prioritising what should go well. Like, achievements are nice, but are they better than, X? So it's that kind of thing.
This makes me think of something else. Did we talk last week about the Ravensworn achievements and things? Mm-hmm. Okay, we did talk about those.
I think we mentioned it, yeah.
Okay.
They're not a thing that I'm planning on putting in.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to kind of get some clarity on that.
Yeah, they became a source of frustration rather than joy for people, so I don't think it's worth putting them in, yeah.
All right, fair point. This was a very specific one, but I liked it, so I wanted to ask it as well. I'd like my very specific questions, though. So we've got prehistoric Potterington, and someone proposed or suggested that maybe we could build a home for her, for example, with construction or something, and using resources from the Wrench Out of Time. Is it something you think is a cool idea, or...?
I mean, we're certainly looking at the environment, where it's on our list of things that we're looking at. We have a lot of our art resources are tied up at the moment in brand new skill. So I'm not sure how much time, but we're not likely to make it into a constructor event kind of thing. It would be a one-off. It would be too specific. And the return is, like, in terms of player value, is relatively low. So we're more likely to just give her somewhere to live.
She is horribly exposed at the moment.
I mean, she's fine with that. She's always horribly exposed.
Wow. Well, at least it's warm there, right? So,
it is.
And she has a comfy chair.
Yeah.
It's a comfy chair and it's warm. What more can you want?
It will indeed.
I just saw a comment, when will we be able to marry Mrs. Potterington?
When will we be able to marry?
Do we have plans to write a quest for this?
I mean, I did pitch a quest to Mod Osborne, which is to bring in the whole Potterington tribe.
Okay.
And it would be my Grandmaster quest.
That sounds amazing.
But it didn't, and it got put out to the players in the survey, but they didn't vote it.
Didn't like it.
Top of the list. I mean, they didn't hate it, but they didn't vote it number one. So it's trickier to get in. But at some point, I'll find a way.
All right.
Like you're doing with the rite of passage, right?
Oh. I'm sneaking stuff in left, right, and centre with that.
I'm just imagining the video
we just have the archaeology chat with Mod Rowley about the thingy.
I don't think we have said what thingies are in it.
Oh, I thought I didn't look.
But they know it's called Stormguard. That's about it.
So I may have snuck some. Well, I say me. I may have influenced certain decisions that have helped towards that. Okay. But I'm always working on it in the background.
Cool.
One day it'll just be live and no one will have worked out when that happened.
Maybe the Potteringtons are actually part of the rite of passage in itself.
Maybe.
All right. This is potentially a slightly controversial question, more so for chat than for us, I think, because we had quite a few messaging about whether we should add more or less pets going forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the players was very curious with the very cute new baby dinosaurs. Could we potentially get one of those as a pet?
I mean, potentially, but again, Reddit, particularly recently, has been telling us we absolutely don't want any more pets, so we decided not to make it a thing.
Okay.
So
there you go.
now they've apparently changed their minds because they're cute. I'm not saying I judge Reddit, but I do.
Cool. I've got a couple of questions at the bottom from Nico here. One of those is, could farming timers get put in game soon? Does that ring a bell for you?
So it could.
Farming timers.
Farming timers.
Right. Can they get in game soon? No. Is it the sort of thing that we want to do? Yes.
All right.
To put it in context, farming timers require quite a hefty rejig of how farming works. Having been working on the farming code recently, we would very much like to do it because the farming code is ye olde code from the dawn of RuneScape's history, and it's given the technical limitations of the time, spectacular. Given the technical things available now, it's a nightmare, and we would very much like to be able to rewrite it. So we'd love to do it, but it's again one that we didn't have the time to do it on top of everything else with farming and Herbal 120 because it would have literally have taken the update.
I know Mod Easty's taken a look at.
Mod Easty's taking a look at it. Yeah, he's got some neat plans. There's various pitches of how we could improve it. We'd love to get it live, but it's not a quick thing. But yeah, I mean, I really want to rewrite the farming code.
I mean, this is the one thing you put on your Christmas wish list.
I mean, pretty much. I mean, there's a few, so we just like
that's Rite of Passage.
we just yeah.
Oh, it's been delayed by another month now.
If you had to choose one of them, Rite of Passage or
I mean, I'm going to choose
rewriting
Rite of
farming?
Passage, but
Okay.
there are other people who would do rewrite farming, so that's why I think we do it.
Cool. I'm reading this and I'm kind of curious if this is not already a thing. The Master Farmer's outfit, does it have a teleport to the Anachronia farm, the Wrench Out of Time?
I don't think it does, purely because you can teleport straight to Mana Farm, which is teleport straight to Anachronia.
Yes.
So we figured you didn't really need that extra step.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. This one is relatively similar, but could they get a load zone to the Wrench Out of Time? I think it's
I mean, that's the
even,
same.
even bigger.
If we were going to do
than
one
that,
thing,
yeah.
we'd do
basically.
Yeah,
things,
just use the Ardoin one and just go there. Cool. This is a very specific question, and I will be honest, I don't know the exact question behind it, so to speak, but you're more into the code, so you probably will know. Does the Power Burst of Sorcery potion fill your urns faster? Is that something we do know by any chance?
I don't think it doesn't give you more XP, so no.
Okay, cool.
It just gives you more runes instead of XP.
Cool. You already mentioned a couple of things that we were specifically taking a look at if we want to make changes to these.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Blessed Flask one of those?
It's one of the things that we're looking at.
Cool.
There's multiple suggestions bandied about in various things, and certain things sound like there are relatively straightforward, improvements that we've seen players suggest that actually really aren't, and have knock-on problems that aren't considered. But it's something that we are considering and looking at, definitely. There are a number of little tweaks here and there that we think might push it in the right direction and various bits and bobs, but yeah.
Okay.
We're getting some knocking.
Yeah, it's like what's happening? Okay. This is one, like currently we've got a 4th Spirit Tree patch at the farm. Have we considered moving that to the Wrench Out of Time?
We have considered moving it. That's one of the sort of feedback things we're talking at the moment. So there's a couple of sort of changes that we need to do along the way if we wanted to do that. One of the key ones being updating that interface, which requires us to get an entirely new map because, of course, it doesn't have Anachronia on it. So these are sort of things that we're looking at. It might be a thing that we do.
Okay.
It's only one of the sort of regular pieces of feedback. So the idea behind where it is currently was we were creating less of an end point and more of a starting point.
Yeah.
Because we figured it's so easy to get to Manor Farm, by going here, you can get there, and then now you can easily get to everywhere else. But obviously people were more interested in an end point at this point, so we're looking at that.
Cool.
It's best I can give there.
All right. There was one final question that I've got on my list.
Okay.
Last week we mentioned we already spoke about this briefly, which was like, would you potentially get a seed bag kind of thing?
Yeah.
We've got loads of feedback on this. Has our stance changed on this since, or?
The reason we haven't done the seed storage, and it was a thing that we talked about at length during the project as to what we want to do, is there are, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again, there are technical limitations that involve doing it in terms of like storage and the saved game file and limits of the game. Like, and we're brushing up against them with the existing farm, and to do something like that, it's quite tricky. It's difficult. Now there are various options of things that we could potentially do in a smaller version, but they don't really help in the grand scheme of things. Like people have suggested just doing it for the Ark or just doing it for Herbal or Habitat, but they don't really help solve the problem. However, our glorious technical leader, Mod Helen, she's looking into things that will take longer, but will be a better long-term solution that will allow us to do more stuff like this.
Okay.
And I'm more inclined to say, I'm sorry, your bank space is going to be more used up by seeds for the relative short term, so that she can explore this avenue, because if she can explore this avenue, then it can open up a huge amount of options for us, cool. Which should be quite good. But this is always assuming that can happen. If that can't happen, then we'll come back and relook at things. I'm not going to guarantee that we can do it because there are technical limitations, but it's something we're definitely looking at, and it's actually quite a big question in terms of behind. It sounds really simple. A bag for seeds. It sounds so simple, but it's not.
I was going to say. Someone said in the chat that Mod Helen sounds like the de-spaghettifier.
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
She is the anti-pasta. Yeah.
Oh, let's just end the stream now, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. These were all the questions I had. Thank you very much. You want to say something more? Or
No.
Oh, I thought you were going to go again.
Just worth saying that next week we'll have Mod Warden and Mod Kelvin on the sofas to talk about sort of plans for 2020 and what we can do with duty of care to our players.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that in a little bit more detail, and hopefully featuring some more of your questions around, say, monetization, etc., etc. So we'll be back on next week.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for joining me on the couch, Malt Raven, Malt Shogun, Malt JD.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all next week. Tot ziens.
What is that? Is that your? Have a good one.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
There's a nice, cute story behind it as well, though. Because last week we had this whole conversation about how should I sign off, because I was going into the Shawnee one again, and we'll just continue. And so so I spoke to this about my parents. They're like, oh, you should just do it in Dutch. So I was like, I'll take that suggestion on board.
It's still on, apparently.
You're still on.
Yeah.
There was a story time with Hot Quirky. It wasn't a good story, but I loved it. So that's why I'm going for Tot ziens. Which is like,
should we all say Tot ziens?
Tot ziens, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
Say
though.
what?
Tot ziens.
Okay.
Tot zines.
Hold the ball.
Tot ziens.
1, 2, 3.
Tot ziens.
No. Is it? No?
No,
We're going on the stream.
We're still here.